I should think on the whole estate there's very few places that you could mention that haven't been to repair sometime. Either from Ashby End or Derby. Because it goes from Nottingham Road at Ashby, about 2 fields away from Rolls Royce at Derby.
We lived in different houses. We lived in London for a bit, we lived in Bedford for a bit. Then my father died and we came here. And I rather like to be near here when I pass out. So, I mean, so end my days here. I knew there would be a tax bill. Of course I was shocked at the size of the tax bill. If you're up in these things, you know you've got to make some plans for the future. That's what the Prime Minister said. Calke hadn't made any plans for the future. They slipped up.
When Charles Harper Crewe died in 1981, there was a bill for death duties of £8 million. The alternatives were to sell up everything or persuade the government to accept the house and contents in lieu of tax and somehow raise the huge sums needed for repairs and endowment. In the end, that was how this magic house, where time has stopped, came into the safe hands of the National Trust. It's really the second great house in Derbyshire after Chatsworth, and the Harper Crews were the second greatest landowners in Derbyshire, and yet to most people outside Calke was a mystery, and it's a great, important Baroque house with a fascinating treasure trove of contents from all eras.
All of it. I have people once a week come and clean. Then there was Benny, you see, he does odd jobs. I think there is quite enough to pay.
I'm 77. I was 13 when I first started with the estate. I went and had a season brickmaking. They put me along with the builders. This is the template, last used in 1981. It's for the graves of the Harper Crewe family that are buried outside the church. Getting out of the grave and doing the building was always recognised as a builder's job. I would think the kernels would be about the first that I did. Then Mrs. Mosley's, Miss Crewe's, Mrs. Jenny's, and Mr. Charles. The undertaker came and said, well, we'll have the funeral on Thursday. I said, oh, I'm afraid it won't give us time not to do what we do. We get the ground out and then build a small vault at the bottom. Fix wire netting on the sides and then put in the green stuff and the flowers, forming wreaths or crosses, whichever looks the best. That's the Harper Crewe way that we've done it for years. Charles was a different man altogether. He liked to be about in the park. One of his main hobbies was mole catching, of all things. There was about 36 of us on the estate at Ticknell. There was a bricklayer and his mate, joiner, blacksmith, and so on, always kept here.
It was a community that didn't need anybody outside. They brewed, they baked, and they were nearly self-supporting. And then, of course, there was a great exodus on just before the 12th, when the wagons used to go. Took a week to move up to Staffordshire. And they all used to go, and that was the time for a grand spring clean. The windows were cleaned and the house was spring cleaned, and there was a skeleton staff on board wages. And that's how life went on. Scullery maids, footmen, bootmen, even I can remember that.
My grandmother worked here and my mother worked here, and I suppose it was only natural for me to come here. I was 14 one day and I came here the next. In October it was, 1939. Came as housemaid. Got up at 6:30, pitch black it was. And they gave me this brush and this hurricane lamp and showed me into this room and told me I got to go and sweep this and dust it. I was absolutely terrified. Absolutely. Never saw any ghosts there then. But I thought about it. I suppose anybody would, wouldn't in a house this size. Well, we had to do everything with the hurricane lamp till it got daylight. And then we used to have to go round and open curtains and shutters. Well, I used to get up at 6:30 in the morning, let Mr. Dexter in to clean the fire grates, and then, we was on duty till about 10 o'clock at night. We wasn't working all those hours, but afternoons, perhaps we could go out in the afternoon if we asked the head housemaid, as long as we was back at 5 o'clock for tea, and then in the evening we would sit in the housemaid's room and do the sewing, something like that.
I started working in the new kitchen that was about 30 years ago. Must have been. I don't know how many years I worked here, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of the house I never saw. I've seen some this morning that I never saw before. I didn't know there was room for the library. I didn't know there was rooms further on than there. One day the housekeeper came and said, "Will you come and help me?" up in the drawing room. When she opened the door, it was just like coming in Aladdin's cave. And I said, everything seemed to glare at me. I said, "Oh, what the beautiful birds." And then all these marble things on this table fascinated me. Then I said, "Oh, I love those elephants. I can always see those elephants."
So that's quite a job, trying to find the old materials. We'll be there for about the next 3 or 4 years.
Well, can you inform me what's happening down at the house and how you're getting on?
Thanks to your kindness, we've had inventory of people working in the house getting on for 9 months now. The great objective is that when all the huge amount of building work that's necessary has been done, we can put it all back together again and no one will know that anything's happened. But as I say, we should be very much reliant on you to remember what was where and what it was like.
This room is the state bedrooms, in the state we find them. But I think this may become a viewable room. So obviously some of the things will have to be moved out of here. It's been fascinating because I've never before worked with so much stuff. I've never before come across drawers which are full of things. And that's the fascinating part. I mean, each drawer can tell you so much about the people of the house. There's so much of the family, so much left for us to sort of pick up on and find out more about. I shan't forget the year I've spent here. It'll have a very strong impression on me. As you can see, this is a fairly interesting and typical cupboard at Calke. We've got lots of sort of bits of textiles, some cot quilts, which got a bit of moth on this shelf, and some rather nice Edwardian ladies' bathing costumes, which with sailor collars, which are good. And then on the bottom shelf, we've got some parasols. Again, rather nice. And then we'll have a look in the drawer. Oh. Looks as if these are... Oh yes, and that's...
You know, I was used to, you know, everything left just to do. I've been for years. That's it. When Mr. Charles lay dead, again that tree, I said to a friend, this is a very sad day for Calke, and it'll never be Calke Abbey to me anymore. And it hasn't.